Welcome back to another episode of the Toxin podcast. As always, I'm your host, Wendy, and today is an Ask Me Anything episode. And today, Miranda asked me, I think, a question that I've received over on Instagram a lot in the last couple weeks since talking about sunscreen and shark attacks. And so Miranda says, I'm just going to read it right here. Hi, Wendy. I saw your story last week when you were at the beach in San Diego talking about tallow-based sunscreens and shark attacks. Can you elaborate more on that? You also mentioned you should never wear tallow-based sunscreens in chlorine swimming pools, and I'm just wondering why. That is such a good question, so let's talk about it.
Hey friend, real quick before we dive into this episode, there's something you need to know. This entire podcast is funded by you. You will never hear paid ads or sponsorships on this podcast. Like, not ever. Why? Because I believe in full transparency, and that means only sharing the things that I actually love myself. When you do hear me talking about something that I love and you use my affiliate links, you get a small discount and I earn a small commission. That helps keep all of my content completely ad-free. And that means that anything I talk about or share is aligned with you and me and not sponsors. So to be clear, no weird promos, no brand deals, no paid ads, just the real stuff that I use, brands I love, and literally what I probably used this morning. So if something that I mentioned feels like a fit for you, click the links in the show notes. It's a win-win and it helps keep this space truly ours. If you are somebody who has any kind of skin condition, dandruff, eczema, or like me, you suffered from tinea versicolor, which is basically some discoloration on your skin, listen up, this is for you. I want you to think about what sheets you are sleeping on all night long. Are they made out of polyester, which is basically plastic? Are they covered in chemicals, which if they're polyester, they probably are? Are they dyed with toxic petroleum-derived dyes? If the answer to any of those questions is yes, you need something different. After discovering Azomi, 100% organic cotton plant-dyed sheets, I will never go back. I even fly with them across the world wherever I go on vacation. Not only are these sheets 100% organic cotton, but there is no synthetics or chemical used in the manufacturing process at all, which is not a thing in the industry. They are also 100% dyed with medicinal plants. After only a few weeks of sleeping on these sheets, my tinea versicolor basically disappeared. Because they're made with 100% cotton, they're going to help you regulate your body temperature and you're going to have the best night's sleep you have ever had. I genuinely want these sheets in everybody's home. So if you head over to the show notes and click on the link and use code Wendy, you will get 20% off everything Azomi. That's code Wendy.
Number one, this conversation came up because I was gifted by PrimallyPure some of their new SPF, which is a tallow-based mineral sunscreen. And if you're on YouTube right now, they have the body sunscreen, they have a face stick, which I love, and a lip also, which is really good to have a lip SPF in the summer. And I'm somebody who gets a lot of unblocked sunshine. So let's just put that out there before I get like railed on the internet. I'm all about the vitamin D and the unblocked time in the sun, but listen, I'm also a realist and burning is bad for you. So especially because I live on a lake and I spend a lot of time outside, sunscreen is really, really important. I obviously, and if you listen to last week's episode where I released my full SPF sunscreen guide, basically, 2025, all of my favorite sunscreens, the ones that are completely clean. And I talked about a specific chemical ingredient that can be found in some mineral sunscreens that you should avoid. So if you haven't listened to last week's episode, go ahead and go listen to it and then come back to this. But to her question, I was promoting and talking about how much I loved this tallow-based sunscreen. However, I made the caveat that I would never use tallow-based sunscreen either at a swimming pool or at the beach in the ocean, okay? And here's why. Number one, let's start with the beach. And I might have been being a little bit dramatic, but it's actually grounded in truth. Sharks have an incredible sense of smell, especially when it comes to animal fats. And I was in San Diego and we do, during shark season, we call it, some of the great whites do migrate down south past off the coast of San Diego. And we have had shark attacks in the past. Are they rare? Of course. Am I going to get out on my surfboard in the morning at dawn or dusk when shark attacks are more likely and slather myself in a tallow-based sunscreen and go surf? No, I'm not. Because even though the risk of shark attacks is very rare, if I'm going to wear sunscreen in the ocean where I know there could potentially be sharks, I am not going to slather myself in tallow where I know they can smell it and they will be attracted to it. So take that for what it's worth. I absolutely would never wear a tallow-based sunscreen in the ocean, when I'm swimming, when surfing, like never, ever, ever. And I'm not even afraid of sharks, okay? I'm just not, but I still would not do that. Now, to the question about chlorine swimming pools, I absolutely tell people, please do not use tallow-based sunscreen on yourself or your children and then spend time in chlorine-based pools. The reason is this: tallow is not water soluble. So it is a animal fat based product that will come off of you. It will not mix with the water in the swimming pool. It will separate. It will sit on top of it. It will impact the ability of chlorine to work appropriately. And that is a huge problem when you're at a public pool, especially. But if you're in a private pool, maybe you think that's less of an issue, where maybe your family's the only one in there and you can upkeep your chlorine the way you want to. You can do a lot more maintenance on it, but it will impact the ability of the chlorine to actually work. It will basically encourage the growth of bacteria and other things. And so you can ruin the ability of the pool to stay a sanitized environment. The other issue is it separates, it floats on top of the water, it goes up against walls, it gets into filtration systems, and it starts to accumulate. Also, piping, the water piping, the filters that come through, think of it like you're cooking and you have hot cooking oil and you put it down your drain, which you should never, ever, ever do. It accumulates in your pipes and it will clog it. And it will cause severe, severe damage. And so chlorinated pools, their filtration systems, you do not want those animal fats to accumulate in the filtration systems, in the pipings. It is just really bad for chlorine pools. And so I always tell people, if you want to use a really good tallow-based sunscreen, and you know the source of the tallow, and this is actually the start of this whole conversation. When I started sharing, PrimallyPure had dropped their new SPF. The reason why I loved it so much is because the tallow is regeneratively, organically pastured, like it is from a really healthy source. And the thing is, toxins, some of the major toxins that we're worried about accumulate in fat. And so tallow, if it comes from a cow that is not pastured and isn't full of hormones, and it isn't given hormone or pesticide feed, like if it's truly a pastured, grazed, grass-fed, healthy animal, then the tallow that comes from that animal is probably going to be fine. But commercialized tallow coming from the fats of animals that are not absolutely the healthiest possible is likely full of toxins. And so you just can't know, right? And so I really liked that PrimallyPure, they're very, very careful to make sure all of their things are regenerative and organic. Their sourcing is absolutely impeccable. That I said, I actually love this. And I put it on and I went for a hike in the woods with my dog, and I was surprised how much I loved it, because usually tallow, when you sweat, it gets really sticky, but this formula was great. I was out in the sun and in the humid weather here in Virginia with my dog in the woods for like 2 hours, and it was really smooth and it actually like soaked in really well, and it didn't give me that greasy feeling. So I was talking about how much I really liked this product, but that I wouldn't wear it to the beach. I wouldn't swim in a pool with it. And so use it if you love it and you want a tallow-based option. Lay out in the sun, be outside, be hiking, live your best life. Just don't go jump in a pool. Okay, that's a wrap. If you didn't know you could leave me a question to be featured on the podcast episode, down in the show notes, you will see a link to leave me a voice message. I hope you're having the most amazing summer. And if you are looking for the best clean, truly non-toxic sunscreens, all you have to do is head on over to my shopping guide at toxinfree.com/suncare. And I will put that link in the notes too. Have a great day, and I'll see you next week.